If you clicked on this video, you are probably interested in stuff that you might not know about Sea of Thieves. And you're right, that's exactly what you will get in this video. It may be a bit less edited compared to my other videos, but I hope to balance it out by being a bit more informative. Keep in mind that some of these things could be great tips, but others are just fun facts to know about. And I am aware that my subscribers are a mix of skilled players and newer players alike. So maybe the more seasoned players will already know a lot of these things. But I tried my best to sprinkle in some lesser known stuff. So I hope I'm still able to surprise everyone every now and then. And yeah, this is not a complete list of course, otherwise I would have never finished this video. So if you got a fun fact or tip that you would like to share, please do so in the comments. Maybe I will learn something new as well. And before we get into it, please consider subscribing if you liked the video. It does mean a lot. So the first tip anybody should know, and I thought people did, but I still see mistakes. And I am talking about efficient sword lunging. Instead of just pressing the charge button, you should hold block before charging your sword dash. It will allow you to freely move as it charges, which will help you adjust the course of your lunge so you won't miss your target. It also will enable you to do a long jump if you press the jump button at the exact moment you start to accelerate. It might take some tries, but I'm sure you will get the hang of it. Just don't lunge into a cannonball. Alright, that's something most people already knew about. So let's talk about cancelling sword lunges. Because sometimes you start a lunge and you want to cancel it. Maybe because your target moves out of the way, or because you pressed the button on accident, which happens to me a lot if I'm honest. Well, to cancel you just use an object you can interact with, while you are still charging your lunge. You can do this with your wheel, cannons, capstan, and so forth. I tried it with my pet, but sadly that one doesn't work. The next thing I want to talk about are dummy sails. Don't you hate it when you got the wind against you? Well, if you angle your sails directly against the wind, you go slightly faster. It looks stupid, but it works.
All of this just works.
And this has been in the game since day one. And again, being real honest here, I didn't use this for a long time. I knew it was there since the beginning, but I watched a Sea of Thieves panel where the developers said they were looking into this. But they didn't, so you can still do this. Getting the wind in your sails is still way faster, and when you use it in adventure you might not notice the increased speed, but in arena you definitely will. And it does give a pretty nice advantage over other pirates. Since I've been using it, I beat a lot of other sloops to the turn-in, so use it yourself, you're gonna be pleasantly surprised, I guarantee it. And as a quick reminder, the sloops are fastest against the wind, then the brig, and then the galleon. With the wind in the sails, it's the other way around, so galleons are fastest and sloops are slowest. And since we are speaking about differences in ships, sloops will also sink the slowest and brigs the fastest. Keep in mind, this is tested in deep water with one cannon hole in each ship. Alright, next tip. So, you know fire and water don't mix, right? Well, if you throw your fire bombs against somebody's hull while being in the water, their deck will still catch fire. To be fair, water in the hull prevents this, but most people keep their hull dry, so fire away. This is a great tactic when somebody is watching ladders. Just throw a firebomb or two against the hull and he has two problems to worry about. Keep in mind that it takes about 1 minute before the fire does any real damage to a ship. And did you know that gunpowder barrels float longer than loot? About twice as long. And the same is true for ash and keys. And while we're speaking about gunpowder barrels, I've seen a lot of other YouTubers giving the tip of storing barrels in the crow's nest. And yeah, it might be the best place to store them, but I prefer not carrying them at all. For several reasons. First, people can still shoot through the moss and crow's nest. And more experienced players will try to shoot your crow's nest with whatever they got if they know you've got kegs up there. One good shot and your mess will fall down, immobilizing you straight away. But wait, I hear you say, gunpowder barrels are great to keg other ships. And that's correct. But they are everywhere, at forts, at barrels of plenty, and obviously there will be a chance that the enemy ship did store barrels in their hull or a crow's nest. And once you've used people's own kegs against them a few times, I hope you can see why I'm not a fan of storing them on my own ship. So, if you need barrels for accommodation or something, sure, store them in your crow's nest. But if you don't really need them, don't bother, especially if you're not that great in PvP. Those kegs can and will be used against you. Okay, next tip. So you decided to ignore my previous advice and do whatever the you want and store gunpowder barrels anyways. Fine. And there's actually a way you can protect them from gunfire. Bullets travel through a lot of things in this game, like masts, like walls, like hulls. This is called wall banging, and it works for all bullet types, for the Eye of Reach, the flintlock, and even for the blunderbuss.
Get fucked.
But there is a thing that stops bullets. Chicken coops. That's right, you can use any type of animal cage to protect your gunpowder barrels. Keep in mind that these cages don't cover the barrel in its entirety, but it will stop most bullets going in that direction. Doesn't stop a cutlass though. Okay, say you need to complete accommodation by doing an X amount of voyages. Say you still need to complete 4 voyages while sailing the Reaper's Mark. If you're not that great at PvP, you want to do this as quickly as possible. And you can. Just buy a stash voyage from Duke. You only need to dig 1 piece of loot, which is also located on the outpost you are currently at. Just dig that piece of loot while also flying the Reaper's Mark, and bada boom bada bing, it should count. This way you can knock those commendations out in no time. Just don't try to use cargo voyages to complete voyages because they won't count. And while we are speaking about cargo voyages, for some people it can be a hassle to remember all the names of the people you need to deliver cargo to. Well, you don't need to remember any names at all. The first letter of their name shows you where they are all located. So if a name starts with a W, you know you need to deliver that cargo to the weaponsmith, since W stands for weapons. C is for clothes, S is for shipwright. If the name is male and starts with a T, it's tools, for the equipment shop, and a female name starting with a T is for tavern. This name system is also true for the different factions. O is for Order of Souls, H for Gold Hoarders, and M for Merchants. The developers probably did this to make their coding a bit more convenient, but it also helps finding the right cargo destinations for us players. Not for me, because I am done with all my cargo, bitches. And as a quick extra tip, if you drop your rum bottles mid-jump, they won't break. So if you mistime the jump, you can still save your precious liquor by acting fast. And did you know you can tell when the Kraken will spawn? Because you can. The Kraken only spawns if an event isn't up. This has to do with server capacity. So if you don't see a skull cloud or a skeleton fleet cloud in the sky, get ready for some tentacles. Nanny. This is also the reason the Kraken often spawns when you finished either a skeleton fort or a skeleton fleet. Alright, we all know that swimming underwater hides your gamer tag. I mean, I hope you do. But if you do an emote, this will have the same effect. And it doesn't matter if you're waving or hiding. Your gamer tag will not show, and in extension your chance of getting found will be lessened. But what about doing emotes while also being underwater? Yeah, that will work too.
Really?
Another tip most of you know is that if you swim away from your ship, your mermaid will spawn faster. But did you also know that mermaids will face a member of the crew they spawn for? This includes other players, so if you see a mermaid spawn, look at where they are looking, because they will tell you the direction your enemy is coming from. And do you hate it that PC players can map certain items for easy access? Well, Xbox players can do that too, if you go to your settings. For example, I mapped my food to my right control stick. This way I don't need to open my item reticle. Food is just one tap away, which is obviously great during PvP. Okay, quick question. You want to do Fort of Damned. To do this, you need all the colors of the Flames of Fate. What color of flame is the hardest for you to get? For me, it's the pink flame. The reason being that you need to find another crew on the server to kill you. What if I told you there's a way to get the pink flame without needing another crew? You just need one other player in your own crew. Get that person to detonate a gunpowder barrel, and then the same person leaves the game straight away. The barrel will not be connected to that player anymore, but the game still knows a player started that destination. So if you die by that explosion, the game thinks it must have come from another crew, so you will get the pink flame. How cool is that? And another related tip, if you are on the Fort of the Damned Island, while a crew opens the vault, you will also get the completion commendation for it. You don't need to be of the same crew or even in the same alliance, it just counts. And do you like finding ancient skellies? Of course you do, everybody does. But did you know that ancient skellies can also spawn on an outpost and even in an arena? Sadly, I have no tips about getting ancient skellies to spawn faster, you just need to get lucky. They are, however, a lot less rare than the Shrouded Ghost, which doesn't exist. Speaking about megalodons, did you know that you can stop a megalodon with a rowboat? Because you can totally do that.
Strategically placed.
Bait can be found in barrels and by digging. But digging isn't random. If you dig in grass, you will find earthworms. Digging in the sand away from shores will get you grubs. And if you dig on the shoreline, you will get leeches. Alright, so I've got a bit more tips for you, but I will go through the next ones a bit faster. So let's go. Did you know that taking off your boots will enable you to make less sound when walking or running? And if you're drunk and somebody throws a bucket of water on you, you will sober up. And did you know that some commendations cross over in alliances, like sinking scully ships? Did you also know that Joe Need is a liar? Because he promised you won't spawn into storms anymore, but you still do! And if you keep missing letters to board enemy ships or scully ships, just spam the X button when you come close and you will surely grab it. And did you know you don't need to pull the lever all the way down on the water barrels to get water in the barrel? Just short pulls will fill it up faster. You can also board sloops and brigantines by using the harpoon, which could be a nice surprise if they are not expecting that. And if you hold your trigger button while holding your compass, you can actually count your steps more easily. And yes, this is very common knowledge, but my crewmate, who is a pirate legend, didn't know this, so you can thank him for putting that tip in this video. And as a final tip, keep in mind that information in these types of videos might be dated. Before making this, I had a look at similar content to see what other people said, and some of the information and tips out there don't really hold up anymore. Sometimes something gets tweaked, or the developers add a new mechanic, or they patch a glitch. Not often, but they do that from time to time. A good example of a dated tip is dealing with golden skeletons. The best strategy used to be to lure them to the water and shoot them with guns. And while this is still very effective, in some situations it might be better to group them together and throw firebombs. But firebombs just weren't a thing back then, so you won't see those tips in older videos. And like I mentioned before, wall banging is a thing now. But this seems like something that might be patched in the future. But I don't know, dummy sales are a thing since day one, so you never know what they may or may not patch. I made this video in February 2020. So if you're watching this in the future, not everything you learned today might still hold up. And also thanks that you're watching my video. I myself think it's really cool that we went back to the moon. And I will probably have a shitload of content on my channel by now, so check it out. So that's about it. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful in any way, a like or subscribe would be really appreciated. And if you want more tips, please check out my 22 tips for noobs video. They might be a bit basic for some since they are, tips for noobs. But maybe you'd still learn something new. There will be a link to that video at the end of this one. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. hey, thanks for watching the entire video. A like or subscribe is very much appreciated. And if you want to see more videos, there's some links right here. So thanks again and take care.